What did Doug Peterson say today about his team? And how do people now feel about Trevor Lawrence as the franchise quarterback? We'll answer all of those questions here today on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, good people? Thank you for joining me, Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast, where it's your team every day. And we thank you for making us your first listen here on Locked On Jaguars. As usual, you can subscribe for free on our YouTube page. That is Locked On Jaguars. Make sure you get there, hit the like button, subscribe, and then hit the bell so you receive notifications each and every time we drop an episode. And then wherever you listen to your audio podcast, make sure you check in at that location every single day. Also, to make sure you don't miss a show. All right, man. Happy Monday, I guess, to all of our everydayers and everyone else who wants to be an everydayer. And you can do that. All you got to do is just tap in every single day here, and you could be an everydayer too. I got to let you know today's show is sponsored by LinkedIn Jobs. And LinkedIn helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply. Not a good night. Not a good night for any of us that live and die with the results of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this year has been really, really, really trying. And the reason why is because expectations changed. Before, if you would have gone to a Jacksonville Jaguar fan last year at the beginning of the season and asked them, after 14 games, you'll be 8-6. Everybody I know in this city would have taken that. Maybe except me, because I'm always like the eternal ultimate optimist. But this team is underachieved based on relative to the expectations. So relative to the expectation, they've underachieved. And it's not so much as the record. It's how they got to the record. And trying to diagnose what's going on with this team it leads you down a rabbit hole of wondering, okay, can it be fixed quickly? Is it something that needs to be rebooted? Are we spending so much time investing in a product that those folks believe in and they're going to hang on to it as it's currently constructed? It leads you to all of that. So I always do this. I always listen very, very closely. Last night during this press conference, right after the game that he took like 45 minutes to come out to, head coach Doug Pederson sounded like he was really, really trying to reach and find something. Today, he just spoke at his Monday presser. It was in the afternoon, so that's why we waited to record. He sounded like somebody who had a little bit of time to think about what he said last night and how he wants to present his message to his team. Always positive. Doug found some positive things, and we'll talk about those things in the first segment. Segment number 2, Trevor Lawrence, the dilemma with Trevor Lawrence. Now, the undying faithful fan of Trevor Lawrence, they're thinning out a little bit. They're thinning out a little bit because they realize that, he ain't Jon Snow, right? He ain't gonna come in here and just save everybody from the night walkers. He's not capable of doing that on his own. As much as we like to think some quarterbacks can do that, they can't. They need help. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, and some say he's the GOAT already. And their record is one game better than the Jaguars right now because he can't find people to catch the ball. So sometimes our perspective gets a little bit skewed. So I'll look at that and talk about Trevor Lawrence and give you I'm not going to give you an opinion based on anything else anybody says. I'm going to tell you how I feel about Trevor Lawrence. Segment 3, fans get a reality check. And that reality check is you just weren't as good as you thought, and that citing all the time. There are a lot of people now that didn't do it. I'll give a lot of fans credit. A lot of fans thought that Trent Baalke blew the offseason, right? But we were in wait and see mode. Now I think they all realize he blew the offseason. And the reality check is, in my opinion, as long as he's the general manager, they ain't gonna ever win nothing. And I said that before, when they fired Dave Caldwell and hired Trent. I said it. I backtracked because the results were different, and I said, okay, I'll give him a chance. And They got a chance, and I was always concerned about long-term stuff, and here we are dealing with long-term stuff. So let's just get down to it. What Doug Pederson said in a nutshell. Doug sounded positive today. Doug sounded like someone who believes in his kids. And he ain't going to give up on them, and he ain't going to quit on them. And good for him, because that's not what coaches do. You don't quit on your people. You don't turn your back on your people just because things aren't going right. You have to be a leader. You ain't going to come out here belly aching and saying that they're not good enough and they stink, and you ain't going to say none of that stuff, right? So, we've seen examples of coaches doing that, not on the pro level, but they kind of come out and say, hey, man, look, it is what it is. And I think Doug knows that it is what it is, right? He understands it and he gets it. So basically what he said today was about a few plays in the game. The reason why they're throwing the ball horizontally and they're not running on first downs because he's, basically in a nutshell, he sounded like a guy who's tired of being put in 2nd and 12. He says it makes you have to throw it more. If you get 4 or 5 yards on the first down, then you can run it and try to get 2 or 3, and maybe they're playing it a little bit different, and you have a short down and distance situation. They have to control those mistakes. The mistakes that they're making, too, on pre-snap penalties, he talked about that. There were several. Brandon Sheriff had one that really hurt. Walker Little had one that really hurt because they were in 3rd and very, very short, and then it ended up in 3rd and 8 or something like that, and they didn't convert. Desperate bad decisions and bad plays and things that you control lead to desperate play calls, right? And I think, we're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing an awful lot of that at inopportune times. And the Jaguars are one of those teams that once things get rolling the wrong way, they keep rolling the wrong way. And Travis Etienne is like their best offensive weapon. And they had to abandon him in the run game and then try to go to him with a quick passing game. Baltimore was all over it. They were absolutely all over it, man. So I don't think this is a play calling issue. I think it's a game plan issue. And I think the game plan is being wrecked because they're just not good enough in certain spots. Whether they're not good enough because of strength, physicality, making mistakes. And you make mistakes when you know you're not good enough. See, there's a confidence that comes along with knowing who you are, what you're capable of, and you ain't afraid of nothing, right? You only make mistakes when you get desperate. That's it. You break form, you do things that are uncharacteristic, and that's what's going on with this team. Ultimately, what it means, and this is my assessment of it all, they're just not good enough. Now, Doug says he doesn't just talk about negative things. He talks about positive things because those things could kind of wear on you. I'm starting to feel like, I'm not necessarily there yet, but I'm starting to feel like some of Doug's ways could be the problem with this particular group. They just might be folks that you need to kind of you need to jack them up, kind of like Joe Clark did and lean on me. And I don't think these guys are really responding to the cool uncle approach. And that's what it appears to be publicly. I'm not telling you that that's what it is behind the scenes, but it kind of, he doesn't throw his guys under the bus at all, and I get that, and I understand that, and I'm not telling him to be or wanting him to be any way that he isn't, because then that would come across as fake and phony, and it would not resonate with the players at all. And but for me, there's something missing, and ultimately, it all comes back to him. If there's a communication problem, if there's a coaching problem, if guys keep making the same mistakes over and over, it's because, either they're enabled or they're, directly, or they're enabled because no one makes them pay for it. Maybe no one makes them pay for it because there's nobody behind them to take their position. So that's basically it. He was a little more positive today than he was before. But I'm going to tell the truth, and I'm going to tell the truth about Trevor Lawrence. And look, man, we just got to get down to it and just talk about what it is. And I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything, but also I wouldn't necessarily call it an overreaction, but I'm also not going to go nuclear and start making these crazy, crazy things that I heard people saying last night. So we'll do all of that in just a moment here in segment 2. We're going to talk about Trevor Lawrence and what his dilemma is and what's going on with him. We'll do it in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. Got to let you know about today's sponsor, which is LinkedIn Talent Solutions. That's right. LinkedIn Jobs, man. It is a place for you to go when you need to hire people and you just don't have the wherewithal to do it by yourself. LinkedIn can get it done for you and hire many top tier candidates and have them ready for you to interview. That's right. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. That's right. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process easier and quicker. You want to post your job at LinkedIn to make sure you get the help that you need. All you got to do to post your job for free at LinkedIn.com, just go to LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNFL. That's LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn Jobs/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply. All right, running it down here on Locked On Jaguars here on a not so victorious Monday, 23-7 Sunday night and prime time versus Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. And the one thing I noticed about when the Jaguars play these good teams, someone hit me up. Someone said that you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to save most of this for segment 3. But somebody said, well, they've lost all their games against really good teams, and most of them have been close. But when you look at the games, don't you see a difference? A difference in physicality, a difference in identifying and knowing who you are. And it may be the fact that they're closing the games, that they don't self-inflict, they don't make mistakes. They just keep going, and it's almost like they know they're going to catch you, kind of like a hunting dog. I saw these wild hunting dogs. You can run all you want to, but they can run for 30 miles. But just what they're going to do, they're going to just sit here and trot. They ain't going to chase you like a cheetah and run out of gas. They're just going to slowly chase you, and you can't even change directions because they can smell everything. So they just change with you, and you up there taking a break, and here they come over the hill, flanking you, and pretty much you get devoured. That's what these good teams are doing, and the Jaguars don't have that trot in them. They don't. It's sprint, stop, I'm tired, hold on, I need a break. Sprint, stop, tired, hold on, I need a break. I don't feel like doing it right now. It's always something they just can't get right. And the leader in the clubhouse of that is Trevor Lawrence. It's leading a lot of people around here to now folks that were Trevor Lawrence truthers. I'm one of them, and I still am. I think Trevor Lawrence is a really, really good football player. I'm not going to sit there and put him in the category of Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to put him in the category of Joe Burrow because he ain't that. I wouldn't even put him with the category of Josh Allen. Maybe around Justin Herbert territory, and that's because they're playing so bad out there with Justin Herbert right now. But it's almost as if a lot is being put on him and a lot is being placed on him, right? This system that they run is built for guys to make individual plays. Whenever you reduce something to making individual plays, that means you think you're good enough to be able to make those individual plays. And when those plays don't stand up and stand alone, then you start reaching and start trying to do any and everything. And it appears the Jaguars start chasing stuff, right? That's when you get fumbled balls. That's when you get all of that stuff. So now we can say that Trevor's been learning, but we can't use the youth excuse anymore. He's in his 3rd season. There's some mistakes that he makes that he absolutely should not be making anymore. He knows it. It bothers him, right? What is the solution? The solution is to surround him with more stuff. The solution is maybe, and I never thought that I'd say this, maybe you pull some of the things off of his shoulders so he doesn't have to carry as much. But in order to do that, you have to be able to run the football. They can't run the football consistently because I don't think they're good enough up front. I don't think they're dynamic enough at wide receiver to back people out of the box. I think people guard their receivers one-on-one and they're willing to just take whatever's going on. So maybe he's not the kind of quarterback that can carry everything or that lifts up everything or makes everybody around him look way better than they really are. Maybe he's not that. Maybe he does need a little bit of a system. I'm not saying he's Brock Purdy, but maybe he does need a little bit of a system. I saw a lot of really, really great quarterbacks not look real good when things around them don't go well. Aaron Rodgers was one. Aaron Rodgers was one. Just the bottom line is, it just appears that hey, this is not working. It is absolutely not working out. And he tries too hard, and he'll never say it, but guys dropping balls and him overthrowing guys and running into these windows where there's no separation, and him pushing and pushing and pushing. And there's just something about him. I'm resigned to the fact that maybe his entire career, he's just going to be that guy that takes 2 or 3 drives to get going. And the way that you calm him down is usually by taking the ball out of his hand and letting him calm down and getting him some easy throws and running the football. But we can't go into every game thinking that every start to every game, the Jaguars are going to have 3 points with 10 minutes left to go in the second quarter because their quarterback was geeked up. And I ain't saying geeked up like he's doing something he ain't got no business. Don't trip on me. But I'm just saying that he's just wired and you got to calm down. You got to come into the game ready to play. You throw the ball a whole lot when the game gets started. There's no excuse to think that Trevor Lawrence wants to win so bad that he's overthrowing everybody. These mistakes in the red zone, at some point they're learning tape and his learning experiences. At some point it starts to be who you are. And somebody said today that Trevor Lawrence they said he was a Caucasian Jameis Winston. Look, whatever, man. I ain't getting into all of those labels, but what I'm telling you, what he is, and I told you I was going to address some of the things that fans have been saying. What I think he is I think he's a guy that's putting too much on his shoulders. I never thought I'd say that. I never thought from a football standpoint when I thought about Trevor Lawrence is that there would be too much. I think it's too much. I think he actually needs to be surrounded by other people. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't think that the team has made progress since him and Doug Pederson have been here. Of course I do. Right? But the bottom line is you got to get it done when it matters. He won't be getting it done this week. Maybe not. He's in concussion protocol. He might not play. He played. I know he played for a while after he got banged up because nobody knew. And apparently from the time that he hit his head on the ground, he was like 17 out of 23. And then after that, it was like 4 out of 15 or something. So, the thought is that maybe the dude got banged up and you got to save him from himself. You got to save him from himself health-wise. You got to save him, and that's why you might not see him this week. You got to save him from himself health-wise. You also have to save him from himself by giving him more weapons, giving him more protection, maximizing that. Kansas City Chiefs maximize that, bro. They spend money on their offensive line. They don't care. They draft high draft picks. They do whatever they have to do. And I always said that keeping Trevor Lawrence upright is the main goal of this organization. Doug Pederson said he thought the pocket was clean all night. He thought it was clean all night long. Maybe it was clean because they dropped back into coverage knowing that those receivers can't get separation and there are nobody they don't catch hard balls. So before I totally write Trevor Lawrence off as not being a franchise quarterback, because I think he still is, I think we need to really, really start to pay attention to the fact that you're not going to be able to judge him totally, unless he gets more talent. But the bottom line is, right now, with us wanting to pull a little bit back from him and not put as much on his plate, that's changing the narrative about him a little bit as being a dude who can be Superman and carry an entire franchise by himself, because right now I haven't seen that he's capable of doing that. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. All right, man. Fans get a reality check. This is where we have hard conversations with the fans. And I ain't going to tell you I told you so, but I kind of did, but we won't go there, man. I know everybody has enough anger. We'll talk about the fans and how they feel and all of their frustration. We'll do it in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. Got to let you know about today's sponsor, which is FanDuel, man. FanDuel is the absolute truth. You guys know it. I've told you several times. So now hopefully you believe me. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's right, $5 moneyline bet, $150 in bonus bets comes with it. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. Remember, FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL. Make sure you go read up those spreads, the player props, over-unders, and all of that information, and make your wagers. Yeah. All right, man. Third and final segment here on Locked On Jaguars on a Monday. I'm not going to call y'all losers. I saw somebody call it loser Monday. That's not law. These fans are not losers. Fans are not losers. I have always given props to the Jaguar fan base, and I'll continue to do it. There's just some realities and some realizations that folks are going to start coming up with now, and that is the last thing that this organization ever needed to do was just take Trevor Lawrence and say, all right, get out of the way. And I know people said that tongue-in-cheek, but even then, I said that's the wrong thing to do. I liken it to hitting a lottery and winning a lot of money. That's when you actually need more control, and you need more oversight, and you need more checks and balances. When you get like, what is that? To whom is much given, much is required, right? I think folks thought that this was going to be easy. It's not. It's not easy. You got a great quarterback. Or somebody you think has the potential to be great, you also need to surround him with a bunch of great players and a great support system. I think they've tried. I just think they made a mistake when they kept Trent Baalke. I just don't think Trent Baalke had the track record that showed you that he could build a winning football team. I just don't. I think he has a personality, and he could probably sit and talk ball with you and tell you. All of these guys can do that. Everybody who's ever been a scout or a GM, for the most part, can sit and articulate with you. I know some media people that can do it. They'll tell you exactly what needs to happen and how you go about it. It's because they've seen it done before, but they've seen it. If they've never done it, they might not know exactly how to go about it. I wanted this organization to really try a younger guy. And this isn't age discrimination, but when I say a young, or maybe not younger, but a first-time GM from a good system, and give it a go, man. Let that dude try the way he did it, because the one thing about Trent is entrenched in his ways, in his traits, and the kind of team he wants and what he wants it to look like. And that's fine. That's how you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be convicted like that, right? But the one thing I have to say about the fans, and this is, the fans fell in love. They didn't like Trent. They call him a clown. They use the clown emojis. Then when they started winning, they're like, we're going to apologize. And once Trent, you see how Trent dresses real well, and he's hip, and he goes out and hangs out at places, and he stood tall. And I gave him credit for all of that stuff, because some of the things that fans were actually saying to him live at these games, I probably would have grabbed one of them by the Adam's apple and choked him in the parking lot. But he just took it, stayed, kept his head down, did work. The team actually did improve. Here's the dilemma. So many people are sitting here talking about this as there are still people to this day that haven't changed their expectation level. All they wanted to do was get off of football purgatory. The reality is you can't sit here and just be satisfied with not being awful. And if you want to be better and you want to be great, your expectation level has to go up. That's why guys like me, I can get mad at Trent Baalke in a heartbeat, but fans can't, because they will still harken back and remember that when things were terrible. There's nothing to do. That is called baggage. When you're so syndromed out to being bad that anything that feels a little bit better than it used to, you're willing to put up with it, right? I'm not, and you shouldn't be either. Hopefully, if you want to win. Don't worry about the way it used to be. It ain't there. No, it ain't that anymore. It isn't that anymore. English, whatever, grammar. But listen, man, you're trying to win a championship. There are organizations that they get mad when they win only 11 games. And we aren't there yet, but you can fake it till you make it and pretend that you are. If you ever want to get your eyes on the prize, you have to understand you got to let go of the past. Jay Smooth, Jimmy Smith, quote tweeted me on or quote posted me on X and said they're a finesse team. Yeah, they're a finesse team. You know what that's code for? They're soft. They're soft. Outside of a few people, this team, as much as Trent wants to talk about traits and athleticism and guys being big and strong, they're soft. I don't know if it's physically soft, mentally soft, emotionally soft, but there's something that's soft. They get mad when people ask them questions in the locker room and this is I hate bringing up former players, but you remember those dudes, those dogs that you got mad at because they weren't nice people? You want a couple of them back now? Would you want a couple of them back? You think maybe the rest of the dogs in the locker room will bite? See, right now, all I keep hearing is talk. Coach speak, player speak, innuendo. We know what's going on. And every single player, you don't have to give the disclaimer. The disclaimer is, man, we love our fans. We love this city. Stop it. They love you too. This ain't about love. That's the easiest thing to say when you get in trouble. Do something your wife or your kids that disappoints them. Don't come here. I love y'all. Yeah, we love you too, but daddy, what did you do? That's it. It ain't got nothing to do with love. Yeah, we love y'all too. They love y'all too. They come and cheer for you every single time. You lost 5 or 7 games at home, and they're still there cheering for you. You don't think they like you and they don't want you to do good? Y'all don't have to preface everything by saying how much you love the fans. The reality check is this. Stop letting people play in your face if you're a fan. You could care less whether they love you or not. You want them to win because that's what you pay to see them do. The frustration that you feel, that I see, is valid. It's because they're squandering their opportunities. They're throwing it away. They're throwing the chances away to at least use this year as another stepping stone to get closer to the level that you all want them to get to. That's the reality check. Buy tickets, please. Go to the game. Don't let anybody take your fandom away from you. But all I'm saying is, just let it be known that you care. You know, yeah, I love you too, man, but that ain't what we're talking about. We're talking about what you're doing out here and who's good enough to do it. We have to, you gotta do that. Even if it doesn't mean that they're going to change anything, you got to do it for yourself. You got to do it for yourself and your own sanity. Stop getting fooled by them saying Duval. Stop getting fooled by them telling how much they love you. Stop getting fooled by it was always the Jags and all of these sayings and all of this cool stuff. Stop getting tricked by that stuff. Stop getting tricked by your own mind when you sit here talking about, well, compared to where we used to be. You ain't where you used to be, and that's the point. If you're somewhere else, be somewhere else. How you expect them to go somewhere else when you giving them excuses and mulligans based on, well, we 20 years, man, we didn't, and we got this. I don't care. You shouldn't care either. What they got to do with the price of tea in China? Absolutely nothing. The way you used to be, the ass whoopings you used to take don't have anything to do with what's going on now. All right? All right. So what we're going to do moving forward. I'll tell you what we're going to do moving forward. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to watch Locked On Sports Today. That's what I'm going to do because Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7 covering the sports, the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. I want y'all to watch these teams, these playoff teams, for the rest of the year. Watch how physical they are. Watch the way that they go about their business and tell me if you don't think the Jaguars have a ways to go. Until next time, take care. We'll see you next time on the Locked On Jaguars podcast.